So before we jump into the topic, I'd let the panel just introduce themselves because I haven't actually met three of this panel yet, so I'm actually need to know who these people are too. So,
I am Hemant. I work at Cara as a regional digital director across managing clients across APAC, helping them with ad tech and programmatic solutions.
My name is Charles Less. I'm the head of ad sales for A&E Networks. We have 5 channels here, which are History, H2, Crime and Investigation, and Lifetime. And I'm definitely the lamb that is brought to be slaughtered, I think. Anyway.
Hey everybody, I'm Darren. I'm the managing director of TubeMogul Southeast Asia.
Hi everyone, I'm Vicky Lyon. I am the director of ad tech for Uyala. I am basically expanding the Uyala ad tech product across the region.
so before I go on, let's just wish America a happy birthday. Happy birthday, America!
Thank you
very much.
No representation without taxation. Was that it?
Something about that, yeah.
Right, it's always to do with money. I love the Yanks anyway. So let's talk about sort of programmatic video. Let's start with you first. Right? Why are we bothering with this? Obviously, TV works. You know,
Very
I've been
well.
told that TV works. TV buying works. You spend 100,000 on TV and you sell product. Why are we bothering here?
I think there's a number of different factors that come into play. One being clutter, especially across Asian markets. Markets like, for example, Indonesia. For those of you who work in TV, there's an average of 20 to 25 different ads between a program in one single slot. This gives an opportunity for brands to go beyond and get a larger share of voice, get themselves heard a little bit more. And also measurability beyond traditional metrics that existed across region, frequencies, and GRPs, etc. This allows them to get more in-depth insights and actual audience data. Whether they use it or not, or how they use it is a different thing, but gives them access to a lot of data that they didn't have in the past to help them make more informed decisions that feed into their content pipelines.
Charles, being the lamb here. Little fluffy lamb. Pork
Going
chops.
so well.
Not some pork chops, lamb chops, sorry. Lamb chops, not pork chops. Let's talk about you. Why do you think this is going to work? I mean, why are you sort of seeing this as a big opportunity?
Well, I think for us it's more about the evolution of television. I don't think it's one or the other. You know, I'm in this game sort of right now, just learning really about how we can move to be TV to make it more programmatic within the region. And I think to your point, when you talk about the research and having deep research, you know, Indonesia's a tough market because the research there, quite frankly, is crap, right?
What was that?
Crap. Shit, what some would say. But if you look at a market like Singapore or Malaysia, where they're starting to get more sophisticated, not only for online research, but as well television is definitely getting more sophisticated. And I think once it is more sophisticated and people are more accepting of it, we'll be in the same boat as far as programmatic is concerned.
Tell me why. I mean, obviously, TubeMogul obviously have a vested interest in this doing well, but I mean, what can you hear me? So what's the sort of rationale for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is to kind of ask what is TV now. So it's no longer just that box that used to sit around. It's actually, for most people, right, it's a screen that sits in your house through which you access a variety of content, whether that's on demand or it's free to air or cable. So I think TV itself is redefining itself, and I think will become programmatic. It already is in a lot of places in the U.S. and in Europe, Australia as well. So it's definitely moving in that direction. I think the second thing is, if we say TV has worked, it is a great medium. It's worked for a couple of things. It's worked for mass reach and some targeting, but does it work really well for granular targeting, for verification? Not as well. And I think the last thing I would say is, at TubeMogul we talk about what's really worked for a brand is sight, sound, and motion is really the most powerful thing for a brand. And TV's been a terrific conduit for sight, sound, and motion. But as there's a massive proliferation of sites and devices, there's a lot more opportunities for a target audience to be exposed to sight, sound, and motion. So to access your target audience at scale on that fragmentation really requires a programmatic solution for a brand, we believe.
Vicky, you have to admit that the TV viewing habits of the typical person has completely changed. I would say that most people watch on demand. I'd say people are watching TV on different devices. So we are in an age of fragmentation. So is this sort of a solution to that fragmentation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the latest stats on viewership across TV in Australia, for example, in the first quarter of this year, I think there was a drop in 5% of viewership on the quarter of 2015.
That's not good, Charles. That's not good. Okay.
It's Australia.
Yeah. I don't even have anything to say. But obviously there's been a massive increase in terms of, I think there's about a 40% increase of viewership across online video. And we work with a lot of these broadcasters trying to build out OTT platforms. And if, as a brand, the best way for you to capture your audience outside of TV, or if you want to follow these audiences, you've got to think about where they're going. And although TV still captures probably 85% or 85 hours of our time a week, it's growing quite rapidly across multiple devices. And if you take that back to the audience of 18 to 24-year-olds, you're looking at 50% of their time is spent on TV as well as on watching across multiple platforms. So as a brand, in order to be able to capture that audience using relevant data and make them more addressable, I guess programmatic is the best way for you to reach those consumers.
Is this the reason why marketers are so interested in this? Granular targeting, robust attribution, and making sort of top of the funnel sort of branding addressable. Is this the key for your clients, saying to you, we're able to target this segment here, we're able to tell that this particular buy produced this particular effect? Is it, and we can attribute that properly?
I mean, at this moment, for them, this is a nice to know. What they really want today, what they think they want today is get as high reach at a manageable frequency as possible, and be able to and use online platforms, programmatic being one of them, on other online video formats, to get the incremental reach over and above television, wherever they can. That's what the premise has been, to move them from TV to online. But as they've grown, gotten more advanced and gotten more informed, they have understood that yes, there's a lot more you can do with this. There's a lot more data that we can use, harness, and action on. However, we do not see them going beyond a certain point. If you see, for everybody who works in the video space, online video space right now, I'm quite certain 80% of the ads they see on video is televisions, TVCs, 15 seconders and 30 seconders. The very fact that we haven't gone beyond that suggests that we are still in a comfort zone. And there's a lot more work to be done to get out of that comfort zone, typically around measurability and things like that. When we're able to address those issues, yes, we'll see a lot more top of the funnel activity. And it's, perhaps some say it's not fair because the same metrics aren't applied to TV. And programmatic is put under the scrutiny a lot more, but that's how it is.
Darren, I mean, obviously you're coming from the buy side. So how do you see, is it the fact that it's more of an addressable thing now? And particularly some of the challenges you guys are challenges you're plugged in now. Obviously you did that deal with Snapchat recently. So like it seems to be a huge opportunity for marketers to access inventory with data, basically.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. I'd say programmatic is no longer just the domain of DR and performance. It's moved up into the top of the funnel with brands. And the kind of fundamental premise is that the brands have spent incredible amounts of time and money building up trusted brands. And with this iteration that we're in right now of programmatic, I'd say, there's a big focus on making sure the ads fall on the right sites, brand safe sites, and that the ads fall places where it can be tracked and so on. So I think there's a demand for more accountability on the brands, and we're certainly seeing that in our conversations. I think where it works best, and people have talked about this today, is where we have a brand and an agency and a technology solution working together in an environment of programmatic where you can test and learn. I think that's maybe one of the biggest benefits of programmatic at the top of the funnel is you don't have to do a giant I/O and hope things work, and you don't have to just push things out on TV and hope it works. You can actually, in that environment, create this test and learn strategy with the agencies, with the brands, so that you're iterating and constantly changing. So your creative, your placements, and that's been most beneficial to our clients, along with, as you say, some of the options. So social, display, video, and then TV, which is coming here at some point very soon.
Charles, how do you build a strategy around this? How do you prepare the troops for this seismic shift to programmatic?
Well, I think
Do
a
you
lot
like
of
that seismic shift to programmatic?
If you're talking about my sales team, a lot of it has to do with obviously education, because it is a different world. As far as even as I sit here half the day, I'm like, what does that mean again? Because you guys throw out 3-letter words like it's Singapore. Oh, we are in Singapore. But it's for me it is about the education, but it's also for us it's about getting the content into a place where they can be programmatic first, and that's what we're working on right now with a small company called Asia MX. I don't know if you've heard of them, but just trying to get television inventory in Asia, especially pay TV television inventory, to be a little bit more on the programmatic side.
Problematic. It's a Freudian slip, but I tell you what.
And that
It's
tells you what it is.
spot on. That's a spot on observation. Problematic. Word of the day. Vicky, obviously your clients are a lot of publishers. How do you work with your publishers in preparing them for this? I mean, obviously a lot of this is being pushed from the demand side, buy side. So how does a typical publisher who might be a legacy sort of content producer on TV, etc., prepare for this, and how do they build a strategy around this?
Yeah, well, I think it's probably quite important that they're trying to align as much as they can with how TV is bought and sold. I mean, this is an opportunity now for a lot of broadcasters to claim back some of the money that has been leaking into digital and be able to offer the opportunity to take TV-like experiences across multiple platforms, delivering across OTT environments. If you think about, how do they expand, programming and content across these devices using linear streaming? How do you use programmatic, and how do you use those opportunities to take advantage of being able to offer the brands opportunities to get TV-like experiences? And one of those opportunities are live streaming and dynamic ad insertion. Right now, a lot of the broadcasters take that content, they run it across those channels, and they allow the TV ads that have been booked and placed within those environments to run across all of these platforms. What they should be doing is taking advantage of those extra streams, particularly during live events, and adding in the ads from either the digital channel or an extension of the TV ads into those environments.
What does a typical buy look like at the minute? Like, when I talk about programmatic video, what does it look like? What are you buying, effectively?
I think majority of the buys even now is skippable formats, standard CPM deliveries, pre-rolls. Not a lot of outstream, but it's getting there. There's been some interest. The thing is, in these forums we do talk about formats a lot more than clients do. A client does not necessarily talk about, I would rather they would talk about skippables and non-skippables because there's a user action there. But they do not talk about stuff like, outstreams and other such formats because that does not affect them. What they want to see is the metrics at the back end of it. What format gets them there is not important. So when we present to them, reports and such, and they see video as a line item, they want to see whatever format you used, did it get me to the end goal I wanted to, regardless of what it was. So I think it's up to us to deliver to them a format which is not disruptive. That word gets thrown around a lot, but more participative when it comes to the audience, and something that is a lot more organic in feel. And that's what wins, and that's what we are pushing forward as well. And so those are the formats.
So where are you getting most of your inventory? Is it YouTube? Is it like typical broadcasters?
Most of our inventory, I would say, is the big 2 or 3 players would be the Facebooks and the Googles of the world. But yes, a lot of it, in fact, over the last, I would say, year, is being shifted programmatic. We're looking at making more and more private marketplaces, curated inventory sources, so that we get that the guarantee of it's going to be viewable. I know somebody mentioned earlier today that viewability is not important. I'm sorry. Our definitions are wrong, and it is important.
Viewability is very important.
So yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's where we're getting most of our inventory is curated places, which is going to be a larger portion by the end of the year.
And
Yes,
you buying that through DSP?
buying that through DSPs.
All right.
That's correct.
Okay. What about video on demand, Charles? What about is that where? Because like, if you think about it, right, programmatic video inventory is mostly made up of, Facebook and Google, right? And in Europe now, you're seeing Channel 4 and ITV getting involved now and a kind of more on-demand stuff. Is that happening here in Asia? I mean, the supply, is that where it's going to come from?
Eventually, but right now we're not seeing huge take-up of video on demand that is legal, let's say. So if you're talking like video on demand
Ooh.
Ooh, he said it.
Huge opportunity there.
So if you're talking about video on demand from the likes of StarHub, from Astro, sort of the big pay TV operators out there, it hasn't gotten to a mass scale yet where you're seeing and right now they don't serve a lot of ads yet. I hear it's coming. So what you're seeing is something that may take place a little bit later, but right now it's not massive.
But surely there's an opportunity there, though. If Google and Facebook are taking half a lot of the programmatic spend, there's an opportunity for TV content producers in this region to take some of that.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think so. I mean, we're seeing in India, a lot of the big broadcasters have, built out their VOD platforms, and they're predominantly driving those platforms via an AVOD model. And they've been very successful in that. A lot of them don't even have data, but because it's inventory outside of what Facebook and Google are offering, they're snapping it up very, very high CPMs for what would be perceived as inventory that lacks any sort of data around that.
Is that pre-roll, is it?
Yeah, pre-roll inventory, mid-roll inventory, inventory that's run during live events. So, for example, Hotstar India just ran the RPL cricket series and monetized all the content during those live events. So these
via programmatic, Charles.
You can't do live events via programmatic just yet, but from a VOD perspective and anything on a pre-roll or mid-roll, absolutely you can.
Yeah, and I think that's, I think that's coming market to market depending on the market. So I think Malaysia will do well with that. I think Indonesia will be tough. I think the Philippines will do well on that format.
I think it really is about the brands understanding the value of the video content. I mean, we work with a lot of these broadcasters and help them build up their AVOD models. If they look at the market right now and they look at what brands are buying, and they're buying predominantly for YouTube inventory, the CPMs are sitting at a very low base. Whereas if they went into the marketplace with what they feel their inventory was valued at, which is very similar to a TV-like experience, this would help a lot of these OTT and VOD platforms bring their platforms into the marketplace and create AVOD models, because you're bringing better inventory to the marketplace. But right now, because when they build out a business case for it, they're looking at it and they're going, there's no value in me putting money behind creating this because the CPMs are sitting so low.
The thing is, the clients today, if you offer them, good quality inventory, they are willing to pay a premium for it because they, not so much.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm 50-50
so they are. It depends. So the thing is, what I call good value, perhaps would not be good value to you.
20 cent. 20 cent isn't value high.
That's too high. So they are willing to pay a premium to a certain extent for good quality inventory because they can see now. You can buy crap inventory for 5 cents CPM, but then you have.
Where do you buy 5 cent video?
Not on video, but just generally you can buy really cheap inventory and run ads on them. But then again, what are you getting out of it? So we're trying to put more and more studies behind it to show that, listen, if you want to make that shift in your brand's uptake or whatever the metric might be, you have to spend money behind it. And more, they are getting there. Eventually, they will get there, hopefully.
Darren, liquidity has to be an issue here. Like, you can't really have a market without inventory. I guess that's something that needs to be addressed for us before we see lots of spend heading that way.
Yeah, I think you could say it's the inventory is not as broad-based as you see in other markets, but we're seeing more and more come on each week. So I think the liquidity issue, it's maybe a little overblown, but and especially outside of even Facebook and YouTube, we're seeing non-Facebook YouTube stuff coming on all the time. I think the issue is kind of making sure that it's quality. If you're a publisher, making sure you're bringing on quality inventory, so making sure you understand who your demographics are, what the KPIs that brands might want to see, all that, making sure that there's access, through VAST tags, VPaid, and all of those issues, and also pricing. If you're a publisher, and this is what we talk about to potential publishers, is making sure you know what your pricing looks like relative to other sources. Definitely enable video because you can get better yields that way. So we are seeing a lot more inventory coming on, even local inventory, say in Hong Kong or other sources that are local language. Still some challenges, but overall liquidity for us hasn't been that big an issue at this stage.
Okay, from a publisher's point of view, is there a fear over cannibalization here, right? So, like, publishers go out, do trading deals with various agencies, get a price locked in, right? And they buy the inventory ahead of time. Is there a fear that if a publisher starts putting this inventory, unsold inventory, into the wild, it will effectively cannibalize prices? It will damage prices. Is that a real fear, or is that just a sort of me?
I think around the premium side of the marketplace, there's not enough inventory to be put into an open marketplace anyway. So the fear of dropping down CPMs is very rare. I think what we find with a lot of the broadcasters we deal with, they create private marketplaces. And what this does is gives them accessibility to inventory that they can't access via their direct or upfront buys. And so in some instances, we see higher prices being offered into these private marketplaces so that they can access more and better quality video inventory for those buyers.
You can lock in the prices then with the agencies, because there's instances in the UK where some agencies, as soon as this comes available, they'll pay top dollar for it just to have it.
Absolutely.
Charles, what's your sort of take on this? Is there a fear?
Well, for me, I would say definitely there's a fear. I mean, when it was just pay TV out there, and as pay TV had greater distribution and a greater number of channels come on board, we definitely saw the erosion of the rate. And what I worry about when you talk about problematic. So when you talk about programmatic, for me, is that I just worry that I just don't want to get a race to the bottom. Yeah. I want to make sure we got to pay for this content somehow. We spend a lot of money making the content.
But there is a finite amount of content, good content out there. Video content's expensive to make. Some bot farm can't just start clicking and fake sites appear. Actually, creating video content is really, really difficult. So surely there is an opportunity for you to access lots of demand. I mean, there's not just the agencies, there's a lot of ad networks, direct buyers who would buy that inventory.
I agree with you, but you see a lot of top-notch content that comes out of Asia, or that's in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, all of them, that go out empty.
What do you mean by that?
As in there's not ads in them. So if there's no ads in them, then there's definitely supply-demand, right?
Well, why wouldn't you buy if it's top quality? Okay, I'm confused now. So there's no demand for that content in the first place from advertisers?
Correct. It's not being consumed by an advertiser right now, especially when you talk about paid television, because in a lot of places you don't have the data that you want, that you need. You look at Thailand, Indonesia specifically. They hurt.
Vicky, do you want to jump in there?
Are you talking about digital video?
No, I'm talking about pay TV.
Oh, pay
as
TV.
Well. But
right,
even if you look at some of the digital inventory that is in the marketplace right now, it goes out unsold.
I'm sure we can find a few buyers who'll put up their hand right now to buy that.
Absolutely.
Let's set up a market right now. Secondary market for Charles. Yeah.
We have a published team right here, right?
There's Zaxxas in the back, and we'll probably buy a load of that. Hey, where's Rick? Is he? Any of the Zaxxas buys? This man's got loads of free inventory you can buy. Let's talk about mobile. Obviously, mobile's the big sort of channel here in this part of the world. Do you see mobile video taking off and the programmatic piece doing well this year? Or is that another growth area?
It's definitely a growth area. I think it's been beaten on quite a few times today and previous days, previous conferences as well. But the problem we face is the measurability piece. Coming back to that is, serving on mobile platforms is a problem. The formats that are available are not necessarily that friendly. I mean, I have myself come across videos where you hear the sound playing, you're looking for the video, scrolling left and right. Where is that video?
It sounds like
Don't
Facebook.
see a thing.
It's Facebook, isn't it?
But not just Facebook. I mean, you see it across, and so quality inventory is a problem. Again, I think the onus is on us as agencies as well, because the prices have been driven down so much that what do you do? There's only that much quality inventory available at certain price points. So you end up getting, placements that are not clean or are not seen at all. And then the second thing is about measurability. You cannot, the degree to which I can measure on desktops does not exist on mobiles. Therefore, I'm wary of placing money, too much money on mobile, because I'm not certain that I will be able to measure if all of my placements, all of the impressions I've served are clean, brand safe environments, and are genuinely what I paid for.
So you think the measurability piece is going to be biggest drawback?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's going to be the key. If as long as we can have similar measurements across mobile and desktop, we treat both platforms the same, then it'll be a lot easier. But in the current format, even though, yes, we are buying a lot of mobile video, but then measurability definitely will help.
I'm sure there's a probabilistic modeling vendor here could help you measure across desktop and mobile.
I think it just needs a better video ad server.
Yeah. Are you seeing what are you seeing in the mobile space? Is that a big growth area then for this year?
Absolutely. So if we think of Hotstar and Viacom 18, there are about 80% of the inventory is via mobile devices, and their viewership is obviously growing.
Yeah.
They serve ads across all of them, and they reckon by 2020 the AVOD business will be a $20 billion industry. That's a very small number of them that is, outside of the mobile market.
Darren, I mean, from a T-Mobile's perspective, how do you see the mobile video piece sort of?
Yeah, I mean, the boom's already here as far as we can see it. I mean, about 40% of the stuff we serve is mobile. And clearly Facebook has nailed it with their approach, and they take over the whole screen. You got to give them props for that. I think, I agree with everything that you said around the inventory and the tracking. I'd also add the creative piece. One of the things we hear often from agencies and brands is, how do I get the creative right, especially these repurposed TVCs? How do I get the message in the first 4 to 6 seconds so people don't skip away? So I think the knock-on effects, I think it's here. I think we're having tremendous success with mobile. Everybody is, to some degree. It's evolving. There's bumps in the road. And I think creative is another one in addition to measurement and the inventory piece.
So the creative, you mean the video sort of creative, effectively?
Yeah, the video creative, to making sure that the message, unlike a TVC where the message is many times at the end, where you're having something that's catching that attention straight away in the mobile video. So
is there pent up demand here? I mean, is there money in the sidelines for a charge at Programmatic? Is there a ton of cash heading that way?
There is absolutely a ton of cash available.
What would Charles need to do to get your money? Tell him what to do now.
When you see completion rates of 5-6% and view durations of 4 or 5 seconds, that's troubling for an advertiser who spent a lot of money trying to create even if it's just a 15-second ad. That we often have to go back and say, no, you should have your message in the first 4 seconds. Really, do you really think a 4-second or a 5-second ad will have a recall beyond 5 minutes? It wouldn't. So even though we try and sell the fact that, yes, have it in the first 4 or 5 seconds, why? Because the person has the right to choose and they'll skip. So we are asked to create shorter form content, but that's not going to have, that might satisfy certain measures. It might have high completion rates or completed views or whatever that might be, but it does not contribute to brand metrics the same way. So we need to have formats, or we need to have creatives that are engaging enough that people will watch 15 seconds firstly, and then we need to have formats that are conducive to be able to support those durations.
Sorry, go on, Vicky.
I also think it's important about the broadcaster and the publisher understanding what their viewers are more receptible to. So using technology that they can understand. So if I'm serving ads to a whole group of consumers, which ones of them are more receptive to receiving pre-roll ads during long-form content, or which ones are more receptive to receiving pre-rolls in short-form content, and all of that metrics that the broadcaster and publisher should be collecting should then be fed back to you, which will ultimately help you yield obviously better campaigns.
So we've run out of time, but I'm going to leave the last word to Charles. Well, let's talk about Programmatic, right? Will you embrace it? I mean, how do you see the opportunity for you in the next 12 months?
Well, sort of what I was saying earlier is that we're definitely going to embrace it. We are getting onto it as far as a television platform, because it is not big here in Southeast Asia on a programmatic sense right now. And the whole idea is that how do we get onto the place where buyers are comfortable with buying television on a programmatic.
So, hold on. This is actually perfect, right? It's like a dating thing, right? So we have content, we have supply side, we have demand side, and we have buyer. So you four guys get out there, have some drinks, and
You
form a
just
little
need to come and
network.
talk to me and we'll sort out all your problems.
Gentlemen, Nikki, thank you very much. I'm sure if you got together now, we by the end of the day, we could have a little sort of PMP thing going on. I'll come back later on and discuss how it went. Thank you very much.
Thanks, facilitator.